The glass and steel headquarters of Nexus AI gleamed in the morning San Francisco sun as I swiped my keycard one last time. The startup I'd built from my garage into an $800 million company was about to become the scene of the most calculated betrayal in Silicon Valley history. I'm David Chen, founder and, until approximately 1 hour from now, CEO of Nexus AI, the company revolutionizing natural language processing. Our breakthrough algorithm had caught Google's attention, leading to acquisition talks that would make us all wealthy beyond dreams. At least that was the plan until my brother Michael decided he deserved more than his fair share. Morning, David. Jenny from HR called out cheerfully. Big board meeting today. If she only knew. Yeah, should be interesting. The elevator ride to the executive floor felt longer than usual. In my briefcase, I carried proof of what Michael had been planning. Secret meetings with board members, backdated stock transfers, carefully manipulated voting rights. Classic corporate coup tactics executed by my own brother. What he didn't know was that I had my own insurance policy, filed quietly 2 years ago when I first noticed his ambitions starting to overshadow his loyalty. The boardroom was already full when I arrived. Michael sat in his CEO chair, perfectly groomed in his $1,000 suit, Samsung tablet ready for notes. Our other board members, 2 VCs from Sequoia Capital, our angel investor Tom Roberts, and our CFO Sarah Williams, all avoided my eyes. David, Michael nodded coolly. Shall we begin? I took my seat at the head of the table, noting how everyone subtly shifted toward Michael's side. They'd made their choices. Before we start, I said calmly, I'd like to address the elephant in the room. Specifically, the planned vote to remove me as CEO. The room froze. Michael's practiced smile didn't waver, but his knuckles whitened around his tablet. I have copies of all the communications, I continued. The secret meetings at the Battery, the stock transfers to create a voting majority, even a drafted press release announcing my decision to step down to pursue other opportunities. David, Michael started, his voice smooth as ever. You're obviously stressed about the Google acquisition. Maybe you should take some time to clear my head. I finished for him. Like you suggested to the board I needed. Right before proposing yourself as interim CEO, Sarah at least had the grace to look uncomfortable. The Sequoia partners maintained their practiced neutral expressions. The fact is, Michael said, standing now, the board has concerns about your leadership. The Google deal requires steady hands. Your recent behavior suggests you might not be the right person to guide us through this crucial transition. Translation. I'd refused to accept Google's initial offer, knowing our technology was worth far more. Michael, eager for his big payday, had been undermining me ever since. Let's be clear about what's really happening, I said, opening my laptop. You've spent 6 months convincing the board I'm unstable because I wouldn't take a lowball offer. You've manipulated stock holdings to create a voting majority. And now you're planning to push me out and quickly close a deal that undervalues our company by at least $400 million. These accusations are ridiculous, Michael snapped, but Tom Roberts was already pulling out his phone, probably checking the stock transfer dates I'd mentioned. Shall we vote then? I asked quietly. The next 15 minutes were corporate theater at its finest. Michael presented his carefully prepared case for my removal. Concerns about my erratic leadership, fears about losing the Google deal, veiled suggestions about my mental state. The board listened, nodded, and voted exactly as he orchestrated. The motion carries, Michael announced, not quite hiding his triumph. David Chen is hereby removed as CEO of Nexus AI, effective immediately. I will assume the role of interim CEO to ensure a smooth transition and successful completion of the acquisition negotiations. I stood slowly, gathering my things. Congratulations, brother. Just one small detail you might want to consider. Security will escort you out, he said dismissively. Before they do, you should probably take a look at this. I projected an email onto the screen behind him. This just came in from the U.S. Patent Office. Michael frowned, turning to read. I watched the blood drain from his face. That's impossible, he whispered. Patent number 14,382,957. I read aloud. Fundamental natural language processing algorithm utilizing quantum-inspired neural networks. Sole inventor, David Chen. Filed 2 years ago, granted this morning. The Sequoia partners were already on their phones, presumably calling their lawyers. Tom Roberts was turning an interesting shade of pale. The algorithm that makes our technology work. I continued pleasantly. The one Google wants to buy. I developed it before Nexus AI even existed. Before I brought you in as COO. The company has been operating under a personal license from me, which, I checked my watch, expired approximately 2 minutes ago when you removed me as CEO. You can't do this, Michael sputtered. The company owns all intellectual property. Developed while working for the company, yes, I agreed. But this patent predates Nexus AI. Check the timestamps. Check the documentation. Check anything you want. My lawyers already have. The security guards Michael had called were waiting by the door, but no one was moving to escort me out. Everyone was too busy reading the patent details now displayed on their screens. So here's the situation, I said, packing up my laptop. You can have the company, Michael. But without a license to my algorithm, what you have is an empty shell. No technology, no products, no $800 million acquisition. Just a very nice office with a great view of the bay. We'll challenge this, he threatened. The board will. The board, Tom Roberts interrupted sharply, will need to reassess its position. David, perhaps we should discuss this privately? I shook my head. No need. My resignation is effective immediately, as per the vote. I'll be starting a new company, one that owns a rather valuable patent. I hear Google is interested in natural language processing technology. I walked to the door, then turned back. Oh, and Michael, Mom's expecting us for dinner on Sunday. Try not to be late this time. The security guards stepped aside, apparently unsure who they were supposed to be removing. As the elevator doors closed behind me, I heard the boardroom erupt into chaos. Jenny from HR caught me in the lobby. David, is everything okay upstairs? I smiled, thinking about the other insurance policy hidden in my desk at home. The one that would really turn Silicon Valley upside down. Everything's fine, I assured her. Just some unexpected family business. But tomorrow? I grinned. Tomorrow is going to be very interesting. The next 24 hours in Silicon Valley were chaos. TechCrunch broke the story first. Nexus AI CEO ousted. Major patent dispute threatens Google acquisition. Within hours, my phone was blowing up with calls from every tech journalist, VC firm, and competitor in the industry. I ignored them all, sitting in my home office, watching the story unfold exactly as I planned. The patent was just the beginning. The real bomb was still waiting to drop. David, my assistant's voice came through the intercom. Google's CEO is on line 1. And your mother on line 2. I smiled. Right on schedule. Put Mom through first. David Chen. Mom's voice crackled with familiar authority. What is this I'm reading about you and your brother? The entire Chinese community is talking. Michael tried to steal my company, Mom. And you embarrassed him in front of the entire board? In front of important investors? Have you forgotten everything about family loyalty? I thought about the folder on my desk, printouts of Michael's secret emails plotting my removal, dating back almost a year. Sometimes loyalty has to be earned, Mom. Is Michael there with you? A pause. He's been in his old room since this morning. Hasn't come out. Good. Tell him to stay there. He'll want to see the news in about an hour. David. Trust me, Mom, and maybe start the rice cooker. We're going to have company for dinner. I hung up and switched to line 1. Hello, Sundar. I was wondering when you'd call. Sundar Pichai, Google's CEO, didn't waste time on pleasantries. That's quite a patent you've been sitting on, David. Want to explain why we're just learning about it now? Because until today, there was no reason to mention it. Nexus AI had a perpetual license to use the technology as long as I remained CEO. Now, I shrugged, though he couldn't see it. Now things are more complicated. The acquisition deal is dead, I finished, at least in its current form. But I'm happy to discuss a new deal, one that reflects the true value of the technology. There was a long pause. The original offer was fair. The original offer was $800 million for technology that will revolutionize AI. Technology that, as of this morning, legally belongs to me personally, not Nexus AI. Would you like to know what Microsoft offered 20 minutes ago? Another pause. When can you be at our office? I can't. Family dinner tonight, but you're welcome to join us. My mother makes excellent dumplings. To his credit, Sundar caught on quickly. Text me the address. I'll bring wine. The next call was to Jenny from HR, who had already received offers from 3 headhunters. How would you like to be head of personnel at a new startup? One with actual ownership of its core technology. When do I start? By noon, I'd secured commitments from most of Nexus AI's key engineers. By 2, I had verbal offers from 5 major VC firms. But the real show was set for 3 o'clock, when the second part of my insurance policy would become public. Right on schedule, Bloomberg broke the story. Nexus AI's core technology built on open source code. Anonymous source provides documentation. I watched from my home office as Nexus AI's stock price started to plummet. The anonymous source, actually my carefully documented code repository, showed that while my patented algorithm was original, Michael had built significant parts of the company's other technology on unlicensed open source code. The phone rang again. Michael, you knew, he said without preamble. You knew about the open source code all along. Of course I knew. I'm the one who warned you about licensing issues 6 months ago, right before you started plotting to remove me. The company is tanking. The Google deal is dead. Are you happy now? Actually, Google's CEO is coming to Mom's for dinner. We're going to discuss a new deal, one that involves my new company, which owns both the patent and proper licenses for all its code. Silence. You should come too, I added. Mom's making dumplings. Why? His voice cracked. Why not just destroy me completely? Because you're still my brother, and because Mom would never forgive me. 7 o'clock. Don't be late. The scene at our parents' house that evening was surreal. Mom's dining room table, where we eaten Sunday dinners our entire lives, now hosted the CEOs of Google and Microsoft, 3 prominent VCs, and our family's old lawyer Uncle Wei, who'd helped me file the patent 2 years ago. Michael arrived last, looking like he aged years in a day. Mom, bless her, acted like having tech billionaires at her table was completely normal. Eat, eat, she insisted, piling dumplings onto plates. Growing boys need strength for business. Over dinner, the new deal took shape. My new company would acquire Nexus AI in a stock swap, with Google then acquiring the combined entity for $2.1 billion. Michael would keep his shares but step down from any management role. Most importantly, the brothers Chen would remain brothers. I still don't understand, Michael said later as we sat on the back porch like we used to as kids. You knew what I was planning. You could have stopped it earlier, exposed the open source issue, ruined me. Why wait? I sipped the vintage wine Sundar had brought. Because I needed you to show everyone who you really are, and who I really am. And who's that? You're the brother who'd betray his own family for money. I'm the one who'd find a way to save the company and the family. He winced. Mom's never going to let me forget this. No, I agreed. But she's also never going to let me forget that family comes first. Even when family betrays you. The new company, he said quietly. There's really no place for me? Not in management, but your shares are still worth about $100 million. Not bad for someone who tried to steal his brother's company. Mom came out with more dumplings, insisting the CEOs of America's largest tech companies needed feeding. I watched her fuss over everyone equally. The son who tried to commit corporate fratricide and the son who'd outmaneuvered him. The billionaires and the family members, all getting the same maternal treatment. The next few weeks were a blur of lawyers, contracts, and press releases. The media loved the story. Tech Brothers' battle ends in billion-dollar peace deal. The new company, Phoenix AI, launched with a dream team of engineers and a clear ownership structure. Google fast-tracked the acquisition. Microsoft made a competing offer, and the final price settled at $2.4 billion. Michael took a long vacation, then started a venture capital firm focusing on ethical tech investments. He still comes to Sunday dinner, though he's quieter now, more thoughtful. Mom makes sure we sit next to each other. Yesterday, at the signing ceremony for the Google acquisition, a reporter asked if I was worried about other family betrayals. In technology, like in family, I replied, the best security isn't in patents or contracts. It's in remembering that every line of code, like every relationship, needs to be built on trust and maintained with care. The night after the deal closed, I found an old photo on Mom's wall. Michael and me at my first science fair. proudly showing off a simple computer program we'd written together. Next to it, she'd hung a framed copy of the acquisition announcement. "To remind you both," she said firmly, "that success means nothing without family." She was right, of course. The patent, the open source code revelation, the negotiations, they were all just leverage. The real victory wasn't in the billions or the headlines. It was in finding a way to save both the company and the family. Michael and I still argue about business strategies at Sunday dinner. Mom still makes too many dumplings. Dad still tells us we work too hard. But now there's a new understanding between us all. Success isn't just about winning. It's about how you win. The tech world moves fast. Fortunes rise and fall, but family endures. Sometimes it takes a betrayal to remind us of that truth, and sometimes it takes a brother's forgiveness to show us how to move forward. Today, Phoenix AI is revolutionizing artificial intelligence. Our technology is changing the world, and the Chen brothers are still having Sunday dinner at Mom's table. Different seats maybe, different perspectives certainly, but still family. As for me, I keep the patent framed in my office, next to that old science fair photo. A reminder that in business, as in family, the best victories are the ones that leave room for redemption.